I have before me a Moog Little Phatty, Phatty, an analog synthesizer that was manufactured between 2006 and 2014. And this instrument is a modern, digitally controlled analog synthesizer. The sound path is entirely analog. It's an analog machine, but it has presets. What I want to show here is just a little bit about pitch and modulation wheels and using a monophonic keyboard. I have here a bass sound. My modulation wheel is controlling the actual filter setting. The pitch wheel works as expected. Now, when you're playing a monophonic synthesizer, you really can play only one note at a time. But there's an interesting technique where you can use a high pedal point. For instance, here's a familiar bass sound. What I'm doing here is I'm holding a note high up and then playing other notes underneath it, and when I release the note underneath it, it reverts to the high note. Say, for instance, if we have a high pedal point with F, what I can do is play notes underneath the F and release them. So this clearly is a Moog synthesizer. It's part of our collection here at EMEAPP, and it is both modern and traditional. It's modern in that I have a choice of a great many presets. For instance, here, the computer part is here on the left, and I can choose a different preset. And what makes this interesting is just the power of being able to dial up a completely different sound and then modify it instantly with the controls here in front of you. So that makes for an interesting technique using the analog single one note at a time keyboard. There's a lot to explore here on some instrument like this because you're not limited to the preset. For instance, if I go back to say the preset we had, and let's say I want less resonance. I press the resonance button. So in performance, I have instant control over that. As I raise the modulation wheel, it raises the frequency of the filter, the cutoff frequency. Raise the resonance. So you have the ability to instantly change things as you play, which is a good part of live performance. So to summarize, you learn and use the pitch and modulation controls, and you learn a different technique, a different way of playing the monophonic keyboard. I showed you the high pedal point. Now, what happens if I hold a low note? Same sort of thing. Either a low or high pedal point will work to your advantage here. With some time spent on the technique of playing the keyboard, the modulation, and the pitch wheels, you can make an ordinary bass sound be very musically expressive.